Hey, what's up, everybody? So, man, this is the last installment for Artist of the Month, John Paul Jones, man. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do a series of short interviews, and then we're going to finish it off with 2 songs. So, first up, there's an interview from '85. This is Post Live Aid, MTV with J.J. Jackson. And then an interview following the 1995 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's about 3 minutes. Then another interview following the BBC sessions. Another interview with John Paul Jones with Wichita Rutherford, a bluegrass podcast. And that's about 5 minutes. Another interview, how we got interested in the mandolin and mandolin playing post-Zeppelin at the International Mandolin Festival that he was named the godfather of. And then we're going to check out 2012 Africa Express gig, that's Kashmir in London. And then an audio with Heart, What Is and What Should Never Be. So it's going to be full of interviews on the front end and then the 2 songs on the back end, man. Anyways, I just want to give a shout out and a thanks very much to Susan Palmer, aka SPP. Thanks very much. I appreciate the recommendation and the links. I couldn't get to all of those links that you sent because this reaction would have been just way too lengthy. I might actually take them up again in the next couple of months as we carry on with the Led Zeppelin lore and go that route. But for this particular month, this being the last month of January, that's all I could actually crank out. So with all of that said, let's hit this up, man. It was a great Artist of the Month, one of my favorites. And nothing will be able to top the Allman Brothers for me, though, man. Let me tell you, that was a moment in time for me. I was so giddy that entire month of December 2 years ago. But yeah, this was a really great Artist of the Month. And I wish I had a little bit more time. I expected to, but in the end, I was only able to crank out 10 reactions. My goal was 16. Anyway, I'm just talking. Let's hit this up, man. Starting with the interviews. This is John Paul Jones and J.J. Jackson in '85. Let's get it.
Here's a face I'm sure you're familiar with. That's John Paul Jones. Old Jonesy, an old friend of mine. Scream for Help is the first music that we've heard from you, Jonesy, since Zeppelin's last album in '79. And what's been happening in between all of that time?
Well, it has been a long time, you're right. I haven't committed anything to record in that time. But I've been pretty busy doing contemporary classical music, which is great fun, you know. I appeared in a Give My Regards to Broad Street, standing next to Dave Evans, you know, when the pillars fall down. You know. Great time, I tell you. And writing the incidental music for the film, the source music, which is what the album consists of, you know, pop songs, different styles. Good challenge, you know, good fun.
How did you happen to choose a soundtrack album instead of like a, you know, as far as, you know, a bunch of songs put together like normally for an album?
Well, you know me, JJ. My interests in music are diverse, to say the least, and I really didn't know where to start on a solo album. And so I thought, on a film, you know, they say what you got to do and how long they want it for. And I thought, well, that looks easy, actually. It wasn't too bad.
You have a studio in your home.
Yeah.
Makes it easier.
Yes.
What was it like working with Jimmy again?
Great. Crackback was done in the studio. It's kind of funny, actually. We had a drummer that was with the National Youth Jazz Orchestra, and he doesn't play much rock and roll, but he was really enjoying himself. And halfway through the session, he creeps to the engineer and says, "This session is kind of heavier than I think it is, isn't it? You know, who are these people?" And you know, Led Zeppelin. And oh well, you know, great. But it was just like old times, like writing the riff in the studio.
It's all about heaviness, man.
Josie's going to hang out with us for the rest of this hour. You promised to do that.
All right. This chair has
I'm
got
going to
me.
do...
Really has got me.
Cheers.
You want to take it with you when you leave?
Please, please. I think it's stuck to me, actually.
John waits every step of the way. That's coming up within 10 minutes. He's a fine vocalist. Hold on.
Yeah, John waits.
John Waite in the studio with us is John Paul Jones, formerly the bass player and keyboard player with the mighty Led Zeppelin, and got a new album out, Scream for Help. One of the things when Zeppelin was in existence, JP, is that Peter Grant was played such a formidable role with you guys. What's happening with Peter right now? I haven't heard much from him.
I haven't heard much from him either. He played a formidable role. You know, he's a formidable man. He could play no other role. I mean, I think he's involved in some, you know, management of new groups, perhaps. But I really haven't kept in touch.
Do you keep in touch with the rest of the members of the band, as far as Robert is concerned and Jimmy as well? Obviously, you played with Jimmy, but do you often
We
phone?
bumped into each other quite recently.
Other than Live Aid,
yeah.
you know.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. You know, our paths cross quite a lot, actually.
We'll be back and speak some more with Jonesy right after we take care of a little bit of business. And also Rod Stewart's baby Jane is coming up within 15 minutes.
He doesn't pick up the phone and dial.
We noticed in the liners there that you give credit to Jacinda Jones. Mm-hmm. Who's Jacinda Jones, a co-writer?
My lyricist extraordinaire,
Yes.
middle daughter. It's a family show, I tell you. And she writes great lyrics. She's a talented pianist, actress. She's, I think, doing an Agamemnon production at this very moment.
Heavy stuff.
Really, really. Running around in you know, those Greek masks, bumping into each other. That's what you have to do, right? You've got to remember the lines and try not to bump into the furniture or other actors who are coming in. But she's great.
She's a fine writer. You know, actually, we noticed as far as your writing is concerned, in the early days of Zeppelin, you know, Plant and Page usually took most of the credit for most of the songs written, but by the time you got through the Outdoor, your name was all over the place. What took so long for you to actually start to become such a prolific writer?
Well, I was writing quite a bit.
It's not the George Harrison
you know, Black
factor.
Dog and all this. Quite a bit before. But I found the trick on In Through the Outdoor. If you got to rehearsal early, like, you know, Robert was there, we wrote the songs, you know. Jimmy come in, hey, we done it, you know. It's really easy.
Hang out with us a bit longer. ABC, Martin Fry with a different look on this one, Be Near Me. You know, Rod Stewart at one time, remember, that was almost going to be managed by Peter Grant. Right?
I remember.
The most were together.
Yeah, I know
John Paul
mine.
Jones in the studio with us this hour. This seems to be the year, in a way, of the resurgence of Led Zeppelin. From the reunion at Live Aid, needless to say, to this controversial book that's just come out, Hammer of the Gods. As a matter of fact, what do you think of that book? Or have you read it?
Not a lot, JJ. Not a lot. It's, apart from being garbage, it's totally without humor. No.
Right.
And basically, the book kind of suggests you were the only good boy in
I
the
wasn't even there, according to the book. You know, was it about the same group? I didn't actually check. You know.
No, I must admit, I have to, you know, be partial, needless to say, because you know I was there on many of those occasions. I feel
Well,
very
you
much
know.
the same.
I mean,
yeah, I felt that was garbage as
did
well.
it read like the same group to you?
No. Listen, was it the Live Aid that prompted? In fact, we're going to have some pictures because there's a book, the Live Aid book. It's out there, and needless to say, everybody was excited by Zeppelin getting back together again for Live Aid. And here's some of the pictures that we've got from the book. And was that Live Aid itself? Was that particular benefit the thing that prompted the band to get back together for a reunion, and possibly a reunion tour?
Oh, I love that picture.
Yeah, Steve.
Love that picture. It's like,
Under
what is the
strain,
next chord? Where are we? No, well, first, the book. The book. The best $10 I think I've ever seen. Beautiful book. Lots of pictures, great cause, obviously. You know, the wizardry of Geldof. One of the things for me that's interesting about all this is that he's galvanized all these people, you know, from all different walks of life into action. And everybody now knows that they can actually do something. You know, no sitting back saying, oh God, you know, it's terrible, all this poverty. You know. What can you do? But everybody's out there going, well, yeah, well, you know, put some money in here and put this on and put that on. I think that's marvelous.
So do I. And that was the thing that prompted. How did he get you all together for this? Because I know you were like off somewhere and they were all over the world.
Yeah, well, actually, I think Robert was going to play with one of the bands, and then Jimmy was in the area, and he said, well, let's get together, and then, well, as we're getting together, why don't we do a Zeppelin number, maybe? And then I heard about it, and Robert rang him up and said, well, you'll need a bass player, of course. Who's going to rehearse the drummers, you know? And it happened.
Was it a good experience?
Oh, what? You know, looking across the stage and seeing the same silly faces again, you know, marvelous, incredible day.
One last thing, so we can clear this up, actually, for that. We had heard, you know, rumors that there would actually be a reunion tour. Is that really going to take place?
Rumors of what?
Led Zeppelin doing...
Ed who?
Evasive, are you again? Possibly?
No. No. There is no Led Zeppelin. There is no Led... Maybe projects. You know, it was great playing, and we didn't see why we should say we shall never play again together. You know, so
yeah, Jason was too young at this time.
Good seeing you again, JP.
And you, Jason.
Yeah. Thompson
Twins, Lay Your Hands on Me. That's the latest from this British group, and it's coming up within 10 minutes here on MTV.
Man, that was back in the day. Okay. Post-rock.
Everybody doesn't like something, but nobody doesn't like Led Zeppelin. You know, what can you say about them? You know, when I first heard them, it felt like I was pent up waiting to hear something that I wanted to say but couldn't say it, and they could say it.
Yeah.
And it just made you want to go, I'm right!
Welcome back to the opening act for the 10th Annual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York City. Maybe the most fabled act going into the Hall of Fame tonight is Led Zeppelin, a band that ruled the hard rock world for a decade before they broke up in 1980. This afternoon we spoke to John Paul Jones, a man who played bass and keyboards with that band, and here's a bit of what he had to tell us. How do you think of Led Zeppelin's music looking back at it? I mean, it was really advanced in a lot of ways, and it combined a lot of different elements. Do you think it holds up well for you when you go back and listen to those records?
I know, for me it was... Zeppelin was very interesting because we had our ears open and we would play literally what we heard, and we were shielded by Peter Grant, the manager, from a lot of outside pressures.
Yeah.
And there's a very good position. A better word than that. There's a very good position to be in because we didn't have to worry about what anybody else thought. We didn't have to worry about, let's make a record like the last one. And so we just did what we wanted, you know, and off it went and was released. You know.
Those are the days.
Nice work if you can get it, I tell you.
Led Zeppelin is probably the most legendary band for their off-stage stuff. Like, they did all these incredible things. Is any of that stuff true, or is the shark story true, or is it all just like mythology?
Oh, none of it's true.
Can interviewers not think of something better than ask? You got the guy's precious time.
I remember all sorts of things, and a lot of things
Sorry
I don't
for my
remember.
expertise, but it's frustrating. It's the stupidest thing for an interviewer to go there all the time.
It's a sorted managerial connotations. I mean, you know, any band on the road at that time, up to various evening hijinks, I suppose. We were nothing special, I didn't think.
You seem to be a very cultivated musician. Back in the days with Led Zeppelin, were there ever like volume arguments, or like, turn it down, you're destroying my hearing? Or...
No, I love it. No, I destroyed my hearing anyway, but that's, you know, I'm still doing it.
Do you think there's any chance you might be jamming tonight, or maybe playing with them, perhaps?
I certainly hope so.
I don't know. We played with Jimmy sat in with us down in South America a couple of months ago, so we have a couple of tunes we can play.
Maybe we do a reggae version of Think About It. Take a while.
Well, the 10th annual induction ceremony for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is about to get underway, so while we still have some time, let's see.
And Led Zeppelin set the pace for rock bands around the world. With their BBC live sessions now available, John Paul Jones spoke of the group's early musical power.
First time we ever played together was in a tiny room in Gerrard Street, in the middle of London, in what's now Chinatown. And it was in this tiny room about, 10 foot square, which are just wall-to-wall amplifiers. They're just all the way around. And the drums in the middle. And I just turned up and got the address, and they said, we all looked at each other and said, well, what should we play? So I said, well, what do you know? I said, well, I don't know anything, you know. I've done the sessions all day. So they said, well, we do a number with the Yardbirds called The Train Kept A-Rolling. I said, great, how does it go? Oh, well, it sort of starts in music, it goes there, all right. So 3, 4,
And literally the room just exploded. It was like the most thrilling thing ever.
God, I would have loved to have been there for that.
So just how
first
good
time.
were Led Zeppelin?
We were the best buddy band in the world. Simple as that. I mean, not that I heard that many other bands.
So straightforward.
But playing with other bands, you know, when we started supporting other bands, there was just nothing like us at the time.
That is.
Hello there! What are you doing? My name is Wichita Rutherford, and this here is 5 Minutes with Wichita. Now here's what I'll do. I go out into
So
the
this
world
is
and I
the
talk to all the big
funny
bluegrass
and the
stars
silly
and
one
kind
we
of
were
check
talking
on them,
about,
see
so.
what they've been doing. And every week there's a secret word. And if the artist says a secret word while I'm interviewing them, I have to do something special. And what is that something special? Well, you have to tell me. I check my emails every week, and this in here is from Andrew Connor in Chicago, Illinois. And it says, Dear Wichita, if the artist says a secret word, you have to let them pull one of your teeth. Let them pull one of my teeth. I can do that. All right, let's check with Allison Krauss and see what today's secret word is.
Hi, this is Allison Krauss, and today's secret word is car.
All right, then, that's car. All right, let's see who today's guest is.
Allison
Today's
Krauss
guest
is,
is... Oh, my gosh.
or was.
John Paul Jones from
Robert
Led Zeppelin.
Plant's,
Oh, man. This is
girlfriend
going
at
to
the
be
time.
good.
At one time.
Thank you, John, for letting me come over here to your house and talk to you.
You're welcome, Rich.
Now, a lot of people don't know this about you, John, but you're like a closet bluegrasser. You played mandolin on all them Led Zeppelin records, and a lot of people that is bluegrass people don't know that rock people was turned on to bluegrass and acoustic music because of you playing that thing. What was your first experience or exposure with a bluegrass?
First experience with bluegrass? Well, not many people know that the band I was with used to be a bluegrass band when we started. We were Lead Creek.
Look at you. You're so precious. I don't think I'm going to be able to stand it. So what happened after that?
Things weren't going so well, so we moved on from Appalachian shape singing to hard rock and changed our name to Led Zeppelin.
So everybody in the band was okay with that? They was happy with that?
It was generally considered to be a good move, yeah.
Now, when you was a little boy, what did your grandmother call you?
Hey, you?
Mine called me the little pumpkin girl. So what did you call her?
Grandma. Madam.
Well, what was she like? Was she real strict or what?
No, she was fine. She used to play the piano for the music halls and for the silent movies as well, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, she was a music hall singer as well.
And my granny, everybody in the neighborhood called her the pigeon head because she'd get to walking and get that head to going back and forth. And she dipped snuff, too, so she'd get to spitting and walking. And every week I'd take a bunch of people over there to see her, about 4 or 5 people to her house. I'd charge her $2 and then make her mad and make her chase me. Oh, it's a show worth every penny of it, John. Now, you look like you're in pretty good shape. Do you eat a special food? Are you on a special diet? Or you just like to eat a lot of healthy food or what?
I eat healthy food at the moment, yeah.
Well, then what's your favorite healthy food?
My favorite healthy food is probably brown rice.
No kidding.
Talking of diets, you look like you've lost some weight since I last saw you.
Yes, I have, but just a little bit.
How are you doing it?
It's really simple. You just, be it breakfast, lunch, or supper, you just eat half of what's on your plate. Just cut it right down the middle and just eat half of it. And that way, I only get half the calories, see? And that enables me to eat twice as much. Now, you're a big reader. What is the book that you're reading right now?
The one I'm reading at the moment is Will You Miss Me When I'm Gone, the biography of the Carter family.
Now, I know people ask you this a lot, and so don't get mad, but are there really Led Zeppelin tracks that's unreleased?
Well, as a matter of fact, there are. I've actually got a couple in my bag if you'd like to have a quick preview.
Oh, I'd love to, John. Oh,
Okay.
Yes, sir. Ooh, a video iPod.
Here, put on these little headphones.
Okay, let it rip.
Okay.
Wow, that's good. It's different. It's different than, well, if you playing bass. Booty train, got to take the booty train, booty
Wichita,
train.
Wichita? Hey, Wichita.
Hold on just a second. Let me hear.
I think you're listening to the wrong song.
Booty train, got to take the booty train.
Can you hear me?
Now, I'm the engineer, and the tickets are free. That's all.
You're listening to the wrong song.
Looky here, John, the robot. Hang on,
Okay, look, for you listeners, he's just not listening to any Zeppelin stuff at all. This has been Wichita's interview with me, John Paul Jones. Come by and see him at 5minuteswithwichita.com, and he'll see yins.
Tell you the truth, John, I don't think there's enough guitar in this thing. It's a booty train. Booty train, booty train.
That was interesting. All right, so next up is the International.
The first mandolin I suppose,
Festival.
that I noticed was probably, they were too close. One was with Fairport Convention. They were playing fiddle tunes and mandolin tunes. There's one record that was very, very big in England. And I heard that and I thought, that's a very interesting sound. And then I was already just touring with Led Zeppelin. And I met some people in New York. And they gave me this record, this vinyl record, called Back Porch Bluegrass by the Dillards. And this had this amazing, again, what's that? And so I researched it a bit. And on a tour, I think about 1970, I went with my wife Mo. We went down to a thrift shop, which in a very strange area, with all these people, drunks hanging around. And I went to this pawn shop and found there was a new mandolin there, a Martin mandolin, in a little case. And I thought, that sounds, I think I should get that. And I bought that, mainly just to have a small instrument to carry around, so I could just, whenever I wanted, just pick it out and play, because when you're with a big band, you have equipment, and I play bass, and it has big amplifiers, and I play organ, and it takes 20 people to move it, and so just to have a little instrument that you just, and be very, you can play it really quiet, or very versatile. So that was my entrance to the mandolin world. Then, I played mandolin mainly just by myself through all the Zeppelin years, and then I put it down for a while, and then I again, much later, heard more bluegrass. I think it was probably Union Station, Alison Krauss or something like that. And then I discovered Bill Monroe, and then I started really wanting to play the mandolin and to play that style of mandolin specifically. I'd always had it around and played a little bit. But then after producing a New Zealand rock band in 2004, I really wanted to be somewhere where there was more of acoustic music and folk music. And so I went on the internet and I found a festival site of festivals, and it had a list of festivals in America, and I just looked and I saw Merlefest, and I thought, booked a ticket and just turned up there with a mandolin. Didn't know anybody there. It's in North Carolina, and it's bluegrass pretty much, or a little bit of country, but mainly bluegrass. And then I just met all these people. I met Chris Thiele for the first time, and Mike Marshall, and I played with Gillian Welsh. And in fact, I played with Chris Thiele on almost the second night I was there, on the Midnight Jam. There was 30 musicians on stage, all playing stuff, and I just kind of, all right, I'll join in, There's a lot of people, nobody will hear me too much, right? It'd be okay. And then I just made all these friends, met all these people. And I remember as I left that to come home, Mike Marshall said, there's a festival in Corsica run by this guy called Olivier Charot. but that's in the summer, and I think, well, it's spring now. I've got to do something else then. But he said, I think he's going to start a new festival in Lunel, just mandolin. Oh, okay, I can do that. So I did the same thing. I think I drove down here, and I don't know if I bought the first one, if I had a triple neck.
What you can discover
on the first,
when you follow your
or was it the
bliss.
second time? But anyway,
That's
again, I met all these people, and I saw. I was there when at the sound check when Mike Marshall met Hamilton. And they met at literally. Hamilton came off the train or something like that, and they just met, and they got their instruments out, and suddenly the place exploded. And there was only 15 people just sitting around the chairs in the old hall, and it was just amazing, just pure magic. These two brilliant musicians meeting for the first time. It's just it's just electric, and the concert that night, and it was just fantastic. And since then, I keep coming back. And now they've made me a godfather, which is le parrain, which is very important. I feel very honoured to be part, numbered amongst those musicians, because they are absolutely the best in the world. And so it's really great for me to be here. And everybody looks after me, everybody treats me very nicely, very kind, very polite to me. So it's really good to be here and to be part of the little world of mandolins.
Nice.
I knew a little bit about choros because I toured with a band again in 2004. That was quite a life-changing year for me. But Chris Thiele called me up and said, "Would you like to come out on the road with us? I'm starting a band, we're calling it the Mutual Admiration Society." And it was the three members of Nickel Creek, Pete Thomas from The Attractions on drums, I was on bass guitar, and Glenn Phillips from Toe the Wet Sprocket, singer. And we went out on the road together. But in the bus, he said, "Mike Marshall has just given me all these books of choros." And we were playing choros on the bus. And I had an octave mandolin, and so I was doing the guitar parts. And it's great. And then I came here and heard Hamilton, and it's just, wow, it's fantastic. But over the years, because I go to the workshops as well, I haven't been so much this time, but previous times, and I've learnt Indian mandolin, some choros, Venezuelan merengue, and Russian dombra.
Wow.
I was at the class she gave, which was quite funny because she didn't know who I was at all. And she said, Fabio will tell you this, he was there, and he said she wanted a volunteer to show something, a pick technique. And I was sitting in the front, minding my own business. She said, "You, out here." Okay. So he's a Russian woman, she must be obeyed, she was that type. And I went, okay. She said, "Hold the pick not like this." No, okay. And then we did the lesson, and she didn't know. And then, of course, at the concert, she saw me on stage with this triple neck man. She said, "Oh, they're so terribly sorry." And I said, "That's okay." I learned something else on the mandolin. It was good for me.
He's a humble Howard.
Well, when I think of Lunel, it's mandolins. Isn't Lunel French for mandolin? No. Well, it should be. It's, and of course Lunel is Olivier as well. It's all his fault, basically, all of this. And it's amazing to just grow from nothing, an international mandolin festival, which, as I said, I heard of it from Mike Marshall in North Carolina. And now I tell all my friends, "You should come to this. It's fantastic. You'll never see anything like it anywhere else." But just happy to be here. Always happy to be here and to come back and met lots of new friends. My French one day will get better.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
That's the way to conduct an interview with John Paul Jones. You just put the question out there, just shut up and let him talk. Let him go through his process. He's got a lot of memories to share. Okay. This is Kashmir. The Africa Express Gateway. So where is Jonesy in this? He's standing right behind the guy. I think that's something like that. In blue. Keyboards. Check out PD, or back then, Puff Daddy, doing Come With Me, the Godzilla soundtrack, and Jimmy Page is a guest guitarist. Great video. Got the whole orchestra going on. His lyrics are a little more clear than this. So I wonder if anyone in this crowd knows that this is a Led Zeppelin song. That's definitely good. This reminds me a lot of my friends, playing Come With Me, they're dancing their ass off. They don't even know it's a Led Zeppelin song. Oh, I would listen to that rock and stuff. They're dancing too. Africa Express Society here. Fundraising committee or fundraising entity. Quality. I gotta look them up. Gotta treat them. It's quite a party, man. You can keep the beat going pretty much all night. Kind of like what they do in Rio. They got one jam going for hours. They better have given them a decent intro and
if I
let everyone know the significance of the business. Okay, this is hard.
Take my hand now, come with me. It's to a castle I will take you, where what's to be, they say, will be. Castle where the sea spins, sail away, leave the day way up high in the sky. But the wind won't blow, the river don't go. It only goes to show that you will be mine by taking our time.
I love hearing this.
And if you say to me tomorrow, oh, what fun it all will be. So what's to stop us, my baby? But what is and should never, never, never be. Catch the wind, see it spin, sail away, leave the day way up high in the sky. Oh, but the wind won't blow, the river wouldn't go. It only goes to show that you will be mine by taking our time. So if you wake up with the sunrise and all your dreams are still as new, and happiness is what you need so bad, and oh, it's love it's you. Castle in the sea, spin, sail away, leave a day way up high in the sky. But the wind won't blow, the river won't go. It only goes to show that you will be mine by taking our time.
Favorite female rock vocalist. For me, it's Ann Wilson. I think these days so much. Excellent bass work. Right on. That was really nice, man. Heart Zeppish. Yeah, really cool seeing these this string of interviews with John Paul Jones, and seeing some of the stuff that he's into, the Mandolin Festival. I didn't know about that. Didn't know that he was dubbed honorary Godfather, you know, and seems like he is active around the world doing various things. And sorry about the background noise, man. They're switching out all of the bins in the condo complex. 7 in the damn morning. Yeah, so I was also going to say, and I said this in my last Jonesy reaction, that it's really cool that whoever the rights holder is, being maybe Jimmy Page or the label or whoever the rights holder is, will allow for him to sometimes use the material. In this case with Heart, the Led Zeppelin song, and some of the other things. That's really, really cool. It's gracious, it's generous, because I know that sometimes that's not the case. I've heard, and I'm not going to mention names, of bands not allowing their band members to use even samples of their stuff with their solo works and things of that sort of thing. You know, so sometimes you can be very, very possessive about it if they actually hold the right. Sometimes it isn't up to them. But in any case, where Led Zeppelin content is concerned, it's nice that Jonesy has access to use it, and that whoever the rights holder is confident in him that he's not going to use it in a less than honorable way. You know what I mean? So it's really, really cool that he's got that lever. All right, man. Hey, this was really, really nice, man. And I enjoyed John Paul Jones month. Like I said, I wish that I had the ability to do more, but I'll continue to do more. I'll continue to do more Zeppelin-like stuff. And of course, it's going to be in the form of interviews like what we saw. I really dig that interview about his mandolin involvement, you know, and how you didn't even hear the interviewer asking questions. You basically just saw him answering, you know, and you could tell what the question was and just leading off. And it's just a nice stream of him talking, you know. Where it comes to John Paul Jones, that's how you want to conduct an interview with a gentleman like that. And you conduct like that, you treat him that way, he will be more open and come back for more, because I know that he's somewhat private compared to the other two. So that was a really, really excellent way to conduct an interview with John Paul Jones. And please, interviewers, if you're watching Soul Train, bro, let me tell you, yes, this novice guy that doesn't know much about rock and roll, I'm going to tell you something. Do not bring the guys to task about what they did when they were younger, right? All right. They're in their 70s now. They've lived their lives. Stop asking questions about, what about the shark thing? What about your ruckus partying days? Use a little bit more creativity in your damn heads before you approach these guys and you ask them questions. That question is the oldest and it's the dumbest platform to approach the likes of Led Zeppelin with. They've all done shit when they were younger. Get over it. Every single band has done that. Think of more creative questions to ask. It's getting old, right? Anyway, that's one of those things. I'm just tired of hearing the same stream of questions from all of these different interviewers, man. Think of something better to ask. You've got their precious time. Don't hit them up with, well, what did you do when you were younger? Enough of that nonsense. It's about the music, man. It's about what they've created, and it's about their mark and their legacy and who they've inspired. It's about all of that stuff. Focus on that shit. Anyway, the great John Paul Jones, man. Great appreciation for this guy, and it's really driven home to me more what he has. Damn, man. Why do these guys always have to switch shit up when I'm filming? Anyway, what he has accomplished and what he has inspired and what he's put forth as. I'm gonna pause. I'm getting distracted. Hang on a sec. Okay, I think the noise is over. Yeah, I was gonna say, man, that his contributions, you know, towards popular music in general, and the Led Zeppelin sound, signature sound, I appreciate it a lot more, man. So I want to read a little bit of what the fans are saying, especially this interview, the mandolin interview here, John Paul Jones and the mandolin. John Paul Jones, you are refreshingly humble and a true musical genius of enormous proportions. Thank you for your music. One of the best bass players in the world, not to mention all the other list of instruments. Incredible musician. Thank you, Jonesy. Bless you. Yeah, I gotta go look for that list of all the instruments that he can play. Such a lovely gentleman, you'd almost forget that he was part of one of the heaviest rock bands ever. Someone I would love to sit by his feet and listen to him play. Yeah, that's the thing, they've got this disposition being a very, very kind of calm, very personable, and they're not wild or anything like that. But damn, man, you put instruments in their hands and you put them up on a stage or together in a room or whatever it is, it's incredible to transform all of them, actually. I'm thinking about the interviews that they've all done. Very personable, very engaging, soft-spoken and quiet. Even John Bonham, man. I think 1 or 2 interviews that I've seen him in, he's a very, very nice, soft-spoken gentleman. But you know what he's like behind that kit. All of them have that. They're very, very chill. And then you put them on stage and you put them performing, and then it turns into something else, man. It's amazing, that transformation. John Paul Jones is such a gentleman, such a pure, gentle, kind soul. He is humble. I love him very much. As a Zeppelin fan since a young teen, whenever I hear them more and more, I listen carefully to what Jonesy is doing. It's easy to hear Page's riffs, Bonzo's drumming, and Plant's vocals, but without question, he was the glue and so important to that legendary band. And yet his body of work and skills since then are equally amazing, and a humble, classy guy as well. Absolutely. Yeah, my first thought of him was in the very, very first Led Zeppelin reaction. No, actually, even before that. My very first thought of him, because I didn't actually know who he was, I didn't have names or anything like that, was the commercial songs that they had hits with. Holy cow, Black Dog and Immigrant Song. Sometimes I just can't remember Immigrant Song for some reason. I know the song, but I can't remember the title of it. And that bass groove, that part, that's when I first really thought of who the hell is that bass player, man? Who's ever playing the bass guitar? And I notice it and it comes to my conscious awareness. That's a fantastic musician. That was my thought even before I became familiar with Led Zeppelin. And then when I did the first Led Zeppelin reaction on my channel, Since I've Been Loving You, damn, man. And I didn't know at the time that he was also playing, the organ, the foot pedals, but that's when he first came into my mind. And then after that, it would have been the Lemon Song. Holy cow, that slayed my ass. And it's that song with, sorry, it's early in the morning and I'm still kind of waking up. That song, When the Levee Breaks, and then No Quarter, those are the songs that really made me realize, okay, they're just not, a rock and roll band that's had a couple of hits and that's what they're living on. These guys have a massive array of stuff that I've really got to check out. So that's what made me think, I've got to go back, man, and I got to start from the very, very beginning, because I have a feeling that if I just jump around, it's going to haunt me forever, and I'm going to be in this loop like a feather in a whirlwind where the Led Zeppelin factor is concerned, because I didn't realize the Led Zeppelin factor was going to be such a big thing on my channel. Here's where the embarrassment factor comes back in. This is the most embarrassing thing. My ignorance and my greenness, right? But it was deliberate ignorance, me assuming. If you're watching me for the first time and you don't know this story, this is how ignorant I was. I said, when the beginning of my channel. I'm going to focus, of course, more on my anti-war stuff. That's what I'm going to really primarily make my channel's focus about. And the odd time I'll do other things. And where Led Zeppelin is concerned, yeah, you know, I'll do a couple of quads and then move on. Yes, that was me. That was me. That shit's embarrassing. I feel so embarrassed to even say it. Anyway, so that's where I was. Now, learning more about their stuff and what they did and how much more they had to offer was incredible to me. And this was coming on the heels of discovering that they had a massive handle on a lot of old blues songs, a lot of old stuff that was connecting me back to my dad, my uncle, his friend, Old Man Rufus, and all of those old dudes from back in the day, from the part of my dad's side, and all these old tracks that they were listening to. When the levee breaks, my brain was just exploding, and I'm like, holy shit. It took me 1929, Memphis Mini. I know this shit, you know, and so all of these things were connecting me back. So the Led Zeppelin factor on my channel in general was huge, but for me on a personal basis was really, really huge because it was connecting me back to my dad. Soul Train Bro came about from my mom's influence, you know, okay, I'm gonna fashion my name and that sort of thing behind my mom's musical influence. And it's kind of like the idea of a guy who was brought up in a different genre class, discovering classic rock. Silly enough, I thought that I was probably going to be like the only person doing this shit. I was really ignorant back in the day. Anyway, that's how much of an influence Led Zeppelin has been to me. And so a lot of people would say, yeah, you know, how come you're on such a Led Zeppelin journey? Well, this is why. There's just so many layers, and it's taken me this long, and I'm still working on it, this long to actually get into all of those layers. And still to this day, I still get a lot of people tell me that I don't do enough Led Zeppelin reactions. Anyway, I was reading. Wow, he picked up mandolin in 1970. Imagine how different those early Zeppelin records would be without it. I'm currently building my first own mandolin, and because of you and Led Zeppelin. Thank you, John Paul Jones. You guys inspire me. It means a lot. Does he realize that he is one of the greatest of all time? So humble. Jonesy, you tell stories the best, magical way humanly possible. Zap for life. What a class act Jones is, not a hint of ego, just a musician who loves music and other musicians, and he happens to be a legend. Love to meet him one day. Yeah, absolutely. Those who know he was the best musician in that period, in that band, period. Yeah, I won't argue that. John Paul Jones is the most interesting person alive. I worship this man. Yeah, lots of Jonesy fans here, man. Holy cow. I always place Jonesy and Charlie Watts in the same bracket for humility and humanity, without even mentioning their prowess as musicians. Bloody brilliant. Yeah, throw in George Harrison in that too. The world's most versatile master musician, 1/4 of one of the most important bands of all time, a studio musician who played on an incredible number of classic hit songs, arranged a whole bunch of others, and produced a bunch of others, yet somehow he's kind of escaped detection. That's how it goes, you know, the structure of a rock and roll band. You know, you've got your popular front people or whatever it is, whoever it is that's popular. Usually it's the lead singer. If he's not the lead guitarist, usually it's the lead guitarist or somebody animated like a Keith Moon, something like that. And then there's always the quiet one. You know, you mentioned Charlie Watts, George Harrison. You've got that. So everyone's got their respective roles to play, their respective image projection roles to play. That's how it is. It's a part of the marketing identity of a band, and that just happens to be the role that was given to him, that he fell into, or that he grew into or created, whatever the case may be, but that's just the public perception. And in this particular case, the public perception is a good one and it works. It's a winning formula, so keep it. You know what I mean? This is a Peter Grant speaking. I'm sure Peter Grant was saying, yeah, you know what? It works, so let's keep it this way. Know your role, stay in your lane, and let's keep it like that, right? And I imagine that is the talk that a lot of people in bands have to hear for the sanctity of the unit of the band being commercially viable. You know what I mean? Some people want to maybe be a little bit more, or want to contribute more, or want to change things. No, the winning formula is this. I'm going off here in my mind. I'm thinking about CCR. Familiarity breeds contempt sometimes. It doesn't matter, hey, oh, it's just my brother John. Oh, it's just my best friend John. We grew up together. It doesn't matter. John is CCR. He is the soul and the embodiment of that unit. Around him is where the orbit of the creative success comes from. So it doesn't matter if he was your brother, if he was your best friend, or if he, whatever it is, to the world, he's the iconic John Fogerty, the creative force of CCR, and you will fall in line. You will do your part. You will stay in your lane. Why? Because it's the creative force of that unit that makes it viable and successful, right? So you will shut your mouth and you will do your part. Sometimes I think that's what needs to happen when you're talking about bands, right? I imagine that's kind of like the conversations that really strong, solid managers probably have to give to certain members of certain outfits, right? You know, because if everyone is allowed to just do their own thing, you've changed the whole identity. What would happen if one of these guys left Led Zeppelin? We already know what's happened. The whole sound changes. It wouldn't be the same band, right? They did the right thing in disbanding when John passed away. If John Paul Jones would have left to go back home to his family, maybe they would have replaced him, maybe, but the sound wouldn't have been the same. Absolutely not. You wouldn't have had the signature sound anymore. You wouldn't have had the thunder anymore. It just wouldn't be the exact same. And they would be forever plagued as saying that, yeah, they're great, they still sound okay, but they're missing something. They're missing an elemental element there. They're missing the soul-grabbing element. They're missing the glue of what made them fantastic. And you won't know it because he's the quiet one. It wouldn't be that apparent until they produce something else with someone else. You know what I mean? Sorry, the boom is happening again outside. So yeah, you know, where it comes to the importance of John Paul Jones and his contribution to the music, he was definitely a big part of it and definitely the glue. Let me ask you that question. If John Paul Jones left Led Zeppelin and they replaced him, come on, let's face it, they would have, right? Or maybe they wouldn't have, but I think that back in the day they probably would have. Oh, it's a bass player, we can get another bass player. Maybe they wouldn't be that casual about it, but bottom line is I think that they would have replaced him. Do you agree with me that eventually they wouldn't be as good a band without him? They definitely wouldn't. I don't think they would. The sound would certainly change. Certain things that he does with his bass, certain things that he does with the piano and the organ. I think that Led Zeppelin, without John Paul Jones, they would be plagued by, yeah, they're good, but they're not as good when they had Jones in the mix. There's just something missing. You would be hearing that, and these guys would grow tired of hearing that. They would be plagued forever by that. What do you think? Let me know about that. That's how I see it. Let me read one more, because I'm talking too much, and then there's just so much noise going on outside. John Paul Jones is such a great fellow, someone I would be very comfortable with spending time with, even though he is, holy crap, it's John Paul Jones. Laugh out loud. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's like having a drink with a buddy, you know? All right, so that concludes our look at the great John Paul Jones, y'all, over the month of January. I'm glad that I had this flex time to do Artist of the Month in addition to my regular reactions. So this is where shit gets busy for Wayne, man. I'm going into my work, and I don't have time to do nothing like this, Artist of the Month. Just don't have enough time. So I'm very, very glad that I had time to do this, extending my holidays and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do with Led Zeppelin is, like I said, just carry on with other things that they've done, their solo stuff, interviews, certain things of that sort, certain collaborations, or whatever it is. There's just so much content out there floating around. So whenever you find something really cool that's noteworthy, send it my way. I'll definitely do a reaction, man. Anyways, thanks for joining me, y'all. Hope you guys enjoyed Artist of the Month. It's not going to be happening again, not anytime soon, let me tell you. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm very happy that I had the time to take a really good look at Jonesy. And thanks a lot for all of you who sent me. There was just so much stuff, but thanks for sending me a lot of this stuff to do features on John Paul Jones. Anyways, have a good one. Take care. Next time you see me, I believe it's going to be where Led Zeppelin is concerned. I want to do a reaction to the history of Atlantic Records, and that's a short documentary, about 30-45 minutes, something like that. So that's probably going to feature some Led Zeppelin. I think they were probably the most successful act that was signed under Atlantic. So I'm looking forward to doing that. That's going to be probably in a couple of days. Anyways, have a good one. Take care, and I'll see you later. Peace.